and welcome back to the channel. I've made a bit of progress on the old Jawa over the past couple of days, replaced the tyres. I did record that, but it's really boring. It's like me struggling with levers and stuff. Absolutely transformed the bike. And I will explain why. Because if you look at the old tyres, oh my god. So these were on a motorcycle that had all its life been attached to a sidecar. So all it had done is had been completely perpendicular to the road. So every time it went round the corner, it went round the corner like that. It didn't tilt in. It never actually tilted in. So it had worn the tyres actually square. This is the front tyre and it is basically flat across the bottom. Have I got a straight edge? Well, there's a broom here, so look at that. So you can pop that and you can actually see how the tyre is not rounded over the top like it should be. This is the front one. There's a big tear in it there and it was just a bit of a state. There's another big rip in it there and it's just, oh look, it's cracked and worn. It's just age crack. So this is, I don't know if I can see the date on this. Oh, here we go. What's this? What's that say? 250. No idea what that means. I can probably look at it, but I think this must be at least 25 years old. So that's the front one. The rear one, however, oh my goodness me. See, it is worn, completely flat. This is almost like a car tyre. Put a straight edge, this is broom handle there, you can see. And as soon as you move it slightly, it goes completely off, and that's only, what, 5 or 6, 7 degrees, something like that. As soon as you move it back off perpendicular, you end up on this part, just this part, and not this part as well. So the handling was terrible. You'd go around the corner and it would wobble around. Put the new tyres on, completely transformed the bike. Absolutely fantastic. 218. Again, no idea. I'll have to look at that. Yeah, look at that. You can actually stand the tyre up and it stands of its own accord. That's how flat it was. That's why it was very, very sketchy. So now we've got the handling sorted out. I'm going to embrace my full inner Musty. Musty One, very good YouTuber. Musty One, very good channel if you like this sort of thing. And I'm going to have a look at the intake. Now this involves the carburetor. It's also the airbox. I'll show you the modifications. I'll show you the modifications I've made. I'm going to take the carburetor to bits. So anyway, I'll show you what. So I'll show you what I've done. I'm doing a video. Shh. Come in there. There's nobody here. So there's nobody here. I'm talking to myself. It's a camera. I know. So this is the airbox. The idea of that is that it houses the air filter. So this goes in there. Takes a bit of poking in, and then you pop this, there we go, like so, and then this bit here goes into the engine. Really? There we go. And then 2 screws, 1, 2, and 2, go there. And that's how the carburetor fits. Now, the reason I'm going to take the carburetor to bits is because this bike is running like an asthmatic dog with 3 legs. Let's take this apart. Let's embrace our full Musty One and see how that goes. With my rather motley collection of tools, let's see if we can get this taken apart. What does Musty do? He does the float bowl first of all, doesn't he? So, oh, it's got petrol. Oh, there's petrol. Well, there will be. It's a carburetor. Duh. He has a workshop to do this. I have a conservatory. That's better. Glass bowl. Let's get the float bowl cracked off. Okay, good. And you go out for a ride and you go to open the throttle and it bogs down a bit and it's just not happy at all. So I think there may be a problem. Does that look alright? Looks okay. Okay, so we have, this is for future reference, a 92 as what I think is the main jet. Yes. 72 as the throttle, or is it the idle? And then we have a little one, which I don't even know what that is. That's the small one. So let's take the small one out first of all. There we are. Oh, this is a tiny one. Tiny one goes there. Middle one. I'll use the big screwdriver on that one. That's got another one inside there. So that's the 72. That wasn't even screwed in. That's interesting. And this one. Let's try and get the float off. How would I do that? Pull. Screwdriver on the floor. Lovely. That's clean through there, so that's okay. Which is good. Right tools for the right job. So this is the tiny one. Okay. And there's a tiny hole down the bottom of there. Alright, okay. This is something starting to make sense. It seems to be we have a 3-stage. Idle, mid-range, and then full throttle. I think that's how it works. Let's take these screws out. This is for the mixture adjustment. This is for the tick over. I wonder if they're the same. No, I think one's longer. Right, how do we get that out? So in my quest to find something that to take out the float pivot, I went searching for something that had some oomph. I did actually come up with a disproportionately huge pair of mole grips, but then I found these tiny little things which are great. So I'm going to pop that on there. Oh, okay. And then, let's see if I can just gently... Oh! Hey, here we go! Cool. So that did come out. So there we are. So, that's the pin. Remove a lay float, which obviously still does float. Make sure it goes that way. Yeah, okay, good. I definitely do feel like musty one now. Right, oh, there's the needle. So let's have a look. Little sort of ball bearing-y thing on the top. And then this thing, again, yeah, let's use the right tools. Again, I don't think I have any problem with fuel delivery. It's certainly getting to the carburetor. Just what happens to it when it goes in the carburetor. That's the problem. Can you see a hole through that? Can you see a hole through that? There we go. You can see a hole. So that's good. Oh yeah, you can see a hole right through there. Okay, 1, 2. There's a tiny little hole somewhere in there. Let's just blow that through. I can't see daylight through that. That's interesting. Oh, here's another thing I learnt from Musty. If you were to take one bristle from a wire brush like this, you can use that to poke the tiny little holes, which is what I'm going to do now. Oh, there we go. Right, can you see that? Poking up through the middle. Yeah, so we have a channel all the way through. So that's not blocked, which is good. Obviously, the other two we can see daylight through. There and there, so they are not blocked, and that is obviously working all right because the fuel is getting through. But that looks okay. Let's take the main jet first of all. That seems to be reasonably clear. And I've dropped it. Okay, that's the main jet. Okay, good. That goes there. Secondary was the 72, and again let's poke a hole through there, and that looks okay. And then the emulsion tube, which is this one. Oh yeah, you can poke something all the way through there, which is good. Let's take the, oh, we did on the 72 yet, haven't we? I'll just do it again, just to be on the safe side. Yes, we did, yes, good. And now, the multi-stage one, so let's have a look at this one. Just big enough to get the thing through, which is the thing, the piece of wire through. So yeah, that's good. And then this particular emulsion tube, which goes in upside down. Where is those there? There's the hole. Let's poke that. That's fine. It still seems reasonably good. I mean, it's literally only been about 300 miles since I took this apart, but that was a good 3 years ago. So, all right. Don't think we need the ultrasonic. Okay. Put it back together again. And so everything would seem to be back together again. So turning that all the way in and then out 1, 2 strokes ish. This, I have no idea. I'll play around with that when it comes to the time. So yeah, let's get this back on the bike then. So here we have the location as to where this carburetor is going to have to go. So obviously, where is the carburetor? It is here. So obviously this is going to have to fit on there, like so. Obviously that will have to go in there. Am I in my own shadow? Yes, I am. That will have to go in there. Then we need, it's all going horribly wrong. Then we need the rubber bit, which goes on there, and then we need the, sorry for the wobbly camera work, we need the lighting, the airbox, which is there. So anyway, here's probably a montage of me struggling. Okay, right. Let's put this on middle one. There are 3 notches. One it's on at the moment, and one on the top. I'm going to put it on the middle one to see, and that sort of sets the height as to how within the hole sort of fuel comes up through here, and obviously this is a taper on it, and that hole has a taper on it, and whether it's blocking it or not depends upon how much fuel can flow up through past the needle and then get into the carburetor itself. So yeah, you have to get the thing back on again. Great. Actually, I think I've got a throttle cable. Should I change the throttle cable? Yeah, let's do that. I thought that cable was slightly longer. What can I do about that? So it's pretty much at the limit of its adjustment. Okay. Okay, yeah, there's a bit of maybe there, I see there's a bit of movement, that much movement really, but it does go up and back down again. So alright, okay, we'll leave it at that. Right, let's try and get this back onto there again. So if my editing skills come to anything, then this is a few days later, and we have actually been for a test drive, and it pulls and runs so much better now. The acceleration is much better. You can actually accelerate up hills and change gear like a normal bike. But this is the acid test, because obviously I drained the carburetor, and this had just taken a few kicks to get it fuel back flowing through. So I just switched it off, and this is a few days later, so we're stone cold as far as the The exhausts are concerned. Very cold actually. Today it's got really weird. Temperature's gone down about 10 degrees and it's gone a bit windy. Anyway, so we're going to try and start it up, a cold start. And if this works, then I think it means that we've dialed in the settings on the carburetor correctly. If it doesn't work, then I've messed it up completely. So we should be expecting, I'll give it 3 kicks, turn on the fuel, 3 kicks without the ignition, and then put the ignition in, and then it should fire within another 3 kicks, hopefully. Turn on the fuel. A few bubbles in the fuel line. Choke on. We've still got the keys, we're not doing anything with those yet. That's how it should work. Too soon. Wow, that was fantastic. Good, so that means that the changes to the settings on the carburetor are just right, which is brilliant. Should we go for a little test drive? So, she now runs a lot better. As you saw, she started on the first kick, which is always good news, and that's 2 or 3 days of just being left, and it's been a bit cold, and she runs really well, pulls up hills, and yeah, so I think I've got the carburetor, that's sorted, so I'm really pleased with that. But I did initially have 5 main problems. I had the handling, which has been resolved to a great extent by some new tyres. So the handling is pretty much okay. The rough running, that's a lot better than it was. And so she runs pretty well now. So she starts and idles and runs without the choke and is absolutely fine. Whereas previously there was a problem, am I going to get home sort of problems. So it was a rough running. The next one is the clutch. I don't know whether you noticed, but it was all a bit jerky, and apparently that is a known problem with them. I need to take the clutch apart because it's really not been touched in at least 25 years, possibly since it was new. I reckon that that panel hasn't been off until I got it. But the clutch certainly hasn't been dismantled in 30-something years. So I think that what's happening, instead of the clutch plates disengaging like that some of them are disengaging and some of them are remaining clumped together or something like that. So I'm actually not getting all of the plates all engaging, I'm getting clumps of plates. So I need to take all the plates off, clean them, put them back. That's not too much of a job actually. And also I need to look at the primary chain. That might be a lash in the gearbox, I don't know. So yeah, the clutch. I also need to have a look at the brakes, which especially the front brake is terrible. Full on, and you think, why aren't we slowing down? So the back brake actually does more work, so I'll have to have a look at that. And the last thing is the engine. which actually seems to be all right. I just need to check things like the ignition timing and make sure take the cylinder heads off and just make sure there's not too much play in the bearings and so forth, the main end bearings. But apart from that, she's running all right. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'll try and put this all together into some sort of meaningful video, and if you haven't, please consider subscribing. I've only got a few at the moment. If I can get 100 subscribers, that would be brilliant. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next video. Thanks.